What's going on with Sonic? And I don't mean that as in where's the next game or what is going on with the next game story, gameplay, none of that. I mean what's going on with Sonic as a franchise and the sales. And what I'm referring to is how SEGA reacted to Sonic Racing Crossworlds. Sonic Racing Crossworlds did not sell what SEGA was expecting, sold over 1 million I think within 2 to 3 months, and that was way below SEGA's expectations. And honestly, this makes perfect sense, and I'll explain why. SEGA went extremely hard with the marketing of this game. It was kind of everywhere. It was at the Game Awards, it was in showcases, they had their own thing at Gamescom, which had a trailer making jabs at Nintendo, and including a specific trailer that made a jab at Nintendo. They had a lot of marketing and hype around this game, and it's also just a very good game that a lot of people enjoyed. There's so much content. They promised at least 2 years of content, and we've been getting DLC consistently already since day one. So it's no surprise that SEGA expected more for their big push for Crossworlds. And I think it's a really big thing to answer easily, and it's just because Sonic, yes, is a really big IP. Sonic is very recognizable. You'll probably see somebody in a Sonic shirt or some kind of merch representing Sonic if you go out in public in a mall or something. You will see Sonic. Whether it's movie Sonic or game Sonic, you're gonna probably see him somewhere. However, that stuff doesn't fully translate over into the video games. Let's think about it like this. Sonic Frontiers sold about like 4 million copies, and it's considered the biggest 3D Sonic game ever. And that's crazy considering the amount of 3D Sonic games we had over the last 20 something years. But Frontiers was the biggest one. So that goes to show Sonic's game franchise is not nearly as big as Sonic the character himself. And what can SEGA really do about it? Well, they've been trying to actively do something about this by one, having consistent Sonic releases and bigger marketing. So they're doing all of the right things. I just think there's just a disconnect with it. And it's mainly because platformers don't sell overall that well unless it's Mario. And let me rephrase actually. I'm not going to say not well, but I'll say it's not selling 10 million copies more often than not unless it's Mario. Let's use Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart for example. That game sold about 3 million copies, which is really good for Ratchet & Clank, but back in the day, I feel it would sell way more back when platformers were top dog. But that's why on paper and fundamentally Sonic Racing Crossworlds was a good idea to compete with Mario Kart and have that extra thing that's not a platformer, but yet it's still underselling SEGA's expectations. So what does this mean? What does Sonic need to do going forward? And honestly, I'm gonna say it needs more spin-offs that aren't the main series that can probably appeal to more people. We should have a Sonic RPG, which is technically still niche, but I feel like that also could still appeal to a whole new audience they haven't tapped into since Sonic Chronicles, but also make it a good game this time. Why is there not a Sonic rhythm game? Like, I'm confused. Like, this is the greatest soundtrack or one of the greatest soundtracks in all of gaming. Why don't we have a rhythm game for Sonic? They can continue to cover their bases by having a bunch of different kinds of spin-off games that appeal to more people outside of just fast action platforming. And Frontiers, I think the reason why it was the biggest is because it kind of stepped out of its comfort zone with the open zone stuff, which is why I think it made more people interested. However, I honestly do think if it reviewed better, it probably would have gotten even more sales and more interest. And Sonic Frontiers is not a bad game, but I just think reviews do unfortunately matter in terms of public perception, but it doesn't obviously mean it's a fact if a game is bad or not. But like public perception, some people be like, oh, I heard the game's not good, so I just not gonna buy it. So essentially, I'm just saying they need to hit with Sonic Frontiers 2. They need more spin-offs. And overall, they just need to continue down the route of just pushing the franchise in the gaming sense more than it being multimedia. That way, we get, more games. Those are just my overall quick thoughts though on what SEGA should continue to do and what they should do going forward to maybe get more people into the franchise, just have more variety of things of Sonic to enjoy. Because most people these days enjoy the movie and all like the merchandise and stuff. So we got to get those conversion rates up. And obviously we're just fans, so we shouldn't care too much about it. But at the same time, we kind of should, because that will determine what we get as products and how often we get products. I guess the big elephant in the room is, so why is it not selling that much? And honestly, I think it's just because it never has sold that much. And we're just having a hard time getting those people who enjoy the movies and other things to come on over and play the games. I think that's simply all it really is Yeah, sales are higher than before, but they're not quite as high as you'd expect off of the movie hype and success. I think that's all it really boils down to. So I don't think that Sega has too much dip on their chip with going hard on stuff like Sonic Racing Crossworlds. It's a good thing, but more so they need to temper their expectations because they're clearly not exactly where they should be trying to talk all that smack, basically. But I think they are closer to being able to get to that point, but just not quite there yet. Sonic games aren't selling quite crazy hotcakes yet. I don't know. Those are just my thoughts on that. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Do you think Sega's jumping the gun too much, or do you think they're being harsh with their expectations due to the success of the movies or whatever? Let me know in the comments below, and like always, make sure to hit the subscribe button and the like button, and I'll see you in the next one.